Hey, did you know that in the state of Maine, with conventional hunting, that's in the way of like spot and stalk hunting, in the way of tracking, looking for fresh bear scat tracks under feed trees and well-known feeding areas of and well-known hangouts for black bears, and just maybe still hunting through the hardwood ridges and mountainous areas where bear are prevalent and where they're known to feed on ripe acorns and such. That way of hunting, and also hunting black bears over bait sites, and hunting black bears with dogs, hounds, and such, or bear dogs, and also trapping. All those four methods. So, conventional hunting, bait hunting, hunting bear with dogs, and trapping black bear. All those. Did you know that using all those methods for killing black bears, as you see here behind me, got some bear skulls, skull there, black bear, bear. Got two more black bear capes in the freezer for mounting to put on the wall and stuff. But yeah, did you know that all those methods of take for harvesting black bears in Maine are used to pretty much manage the black bears as a whole, manage their population? It's actually the number there. Those four methods are the number one tool for properly managing and conserving the black bears as a whole. Did you know that? Maybe you didn't, but you do now. And that's because I need to tell you that I'm live here, so I can't edit. There's no editing this, folks. This is live. This is in the raw. There's a proper carrying capacity threshold, a proper carrying capacity for all knocks of life in the whole wide world, for all living things. And that carrying capacity must be managed in one way or another. I mean, it really has to. Because there's a threshold for all carrying capacities of all living animals in the world. There's a threshold there. And if you exceed that threshold in the carrying capacity, big problems can arise. Things can happen. Diseases can spread. Malnourished animals could be a result to exceeding the threshold of the carrying capacity. There could be a calorie deficiency, a energy deficiency all in all, a malnourished and many hundreds and thousands of malnourished animals that could go on to starve to death. Then you have dead, rotten, smelly carcasses across the landscape everywhere that just no one wants to see, no one wants to deal with, and that could pose a lot of problems. Obviously, the diseases spreading among the bear population themselves, but if the bear population exceeds that threshold of the carrying capacity, then the diseases could eventually spread not just only among the bears, but to other animals, maybe deer and moose and turkeys and humans, heaven forbid, and so on. And more human and bear problems, interaction could happen. More vehicle and bear collisions could happen if the bear population exceeds threshold. Let's see who's coming on here. So I was opening this with, did you know? If you're just chiming in here, I was talking about how the state of Maine uses conventional hunting, bait hunting, hunting with dogs, and trapping of the black bear. They use all these methods to control the population of the black bears, and that hunting is the most effective number one tool for managing populations. And also all other methods have failed time and time again. Millions of dollars have been poured into birth control attempts for animals to control their populations, and those have failed. Live trapping and relocating, that never works well to manage the population. See who's coming on here. Kevin Stenberg. So Kevin Stenberg, how you doing, buddy? Gosh, I would do anything to go to America and hunt some North American game. It would be truly magical. Yeah, you weren't on here the last several Mondays. So Kevin Stenberg, I go live every Monday night. The next series of live streams that I've been going live every Monday for the last 3-4 Mondays. It's all about black bear management, black bear conservation, current events around black bear, like research and such and stuff. And I'll eventually get into how to, go on to talk about how to locate and find black bears in black bear country, to go about hunting them to harvest a black bear. So let's see who else is on here. We've got Joe. Hey Joe, how you doing, buddy? Joe says, I love in my barrel home mixes, a trail mix and donuts. Yeah. Oh, hey Joe, do you have bear coming to your bait? I finally got a bear on. I'm running 2 bait sites this year. I don't have friends wanting to come on a bear hunt. When I have some of my really good buddies, friends want to try to shoot their first black bear, I'll run a couple other bait sites for some close friends. But this year it's just me, myself, and I. I've got 2 bait sites going. I finally got bear coming to them, so I'm excited about that. So Joe, do you have bear coming? Let's see. Kristen Sports Lab. Do the Indonesian boat dance. Do the Indonesian boat dance. I wonder what that is. Sports Lab, what is the let's see who else we have. Bayuli. Do you use a gun or a bow? Oh, that's a good question, Bayuli. Bayuli, if I'm pronouncing that right, I actually shot a bear last year with a shotgun. It's the first bear I ever shot with a shotgun. And I also got a rifle. Shot a bear 2 years ago with a rifle. Those mark the 2 bear that I've shot with a firearm. So I've gotten 1 bear with a rifle and 1 bear with a shotgun, with a slug, 12-gauge slug. And then all other bear before them 2, the last 2, have all been with my bow and arrow. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 9 to 10 or more. I've lost count of how many black bear I've shot and that I have gotten so far, but I've gotten the majority of them with a bow. So that's to answer Bayoli's question. Bayoli, do you hunt black bear, or are you planning on hunting black bear? And what will you hunt them with? Bayoli. Let's see who else we have. Sports Lab. I want to learn how to hunt. 808 Derp is hit. So you're definitely in the right place if you want to learn how to hunt. I'm going to be going live every Monday nights, and I've been keeping track of everyone's requests and stuff about what they'd like to see me talk about. So I opened up this live stream talking about how hunting is vitally important for controlling populations. And I went on to mention the carrying capacity, how there's a carrying capacity for us humans. Not only just black bear and deer and bear and turkeys and all the game species that hunters are able to pursue to go to hunt and to get some very good, lean, healthy, hormone-free, just great organic meat for the family, but there's carrying capacities for all those critters and us included and stuff, and there's ways that the carrying capacity is managed. I mean, for us humans, there's countries in the world that are overpopulated with humans. And I'm sure that you guys could name a few, think of some. I've got some on top of my head, but that we can overpopulate our area. The carrying capacity the definition of it is that the environment and our habitat that an animal lives in, there's only so many resources, there's only so much food, so much water, so much space, so much cover. So only so many resources to support and sustain a certain number, a certain surplus of that animal in that habitat, that environment. And the way the carrying capacity works is the carrying capacity. Carrying capacity states that if the animals stay below threshold, then there's more than enough to go around, more resources to go around to keep that population healthy and thriving and doing well, and they can go on to reproduce more offspring. And as those offspring, lived into maturity, and add to the population. Eventually, the population will exceed threshold. The populations will grow to an immense size, to the point where there is no longer enough resources to go around to really sustain healthy living for every single animal in their habitat. And the same goes for even us humans. That carrying capacity must be managed. Obviously, there's wars that go on every so often in our lives. Human life, there's wars, there's murders, there's overdosing, there's car accidents. We eventually do die of natural causes. There's all sorts of ways the human cycle goes round and round, and as we die, succumb, and go on to become soil and dust of the earth, then all that and a whole is managed in our carrying capacity. But we're the smartest animal on the planet, and we know about the carrying capacity. We know about how the importance of managing populations, but also we have to sustain our lives, our children's lives, our spouses. We need food. Just as the bear need food out there in the wild, their food are acorns and berries and like black cherry trees and the white oak acorns, red oak acorns, blackberries, blueberries, raspberries, skunk cabbage, grasses, clovers, the cambium layer of trees that are about that big around. They like to strip the bark on certain trees that are about that size around to eat the sugary sweet cambium layer on the trees. There's only so much of those resources go around for them, but we do them a solid. We do black bears a solid by helping to fill our tags as hunters. We can go and fill a bear tag, and it helps keep the carrying capacity of these critters below threshold, so that the remainder can go on to live, flourish, and there's no spreading of diseases, no starvation, no nuisance bears in our yards and around our houses, no vehicle bear collisions, and so on and so forth. I can go on a tangent on this stuff, but I've got to pause for the people that are chiming in. So Bayo Lee, do stick with me, and I'd like to see you come on next Monday if you want to learn them. I only use a bow. Oh wait, Bayo Lee. Okay, you only use a bow. That is awesome. Good for you, buddy. Let's see. Let me go up. Did you say if you bear hunt or not? Do you use gun or? So Bayo Lee, do you hunt black bear with a bow? Are you planning on hunting black bear with a bow, Bayo Lee? See, Kaylin Marriott. Where do you shoot your bears at? So Kaylin Marriott, this black bear right here was my very first ever bear I ever shot. This one right up above my head. I shot this bear with a bow and arrow. This bear is a Canadian buck. This is a New Brunswick, Canada bear, this one right here. I did this mount. I do my own taxidermy. I've been learning taxidermy for the last 3 years. I've now done shoulder mounts of bear, shoulder mounts of moose, and I've done deer mounts. I'm working on a full life-size mount of a bobcat, so I can go on to get my taxidermy license. But I mounted this bear, and I shot this bear with my bow in New Brunswick, Canada. There's a bear skull back here. I got that bear with a bow, and this one this bear skull back here is to a bear that I shot with a slug, 12-gauge slug, and I have his cape in my freezer. I can't wait to do the mount on that one. I'm going to do the mount for this bear, the skull you see back here to my left. I'm going to have him on a habitat, like a floor-based habitat, or it could be up on a table too, or a stand. And I'm going to have him stepping forward, kind of slightly turned with him kind of panting, with his mouth half open to show his teeth and tongue and stuff and gum line. I'm going to have him doing a step through some ferns and things and such and so forth. But yeah, so see how I answered his questions, Bailey. All right, nicely done, man. Kaylin Marriott. Hey, where do you shoot? Yeah, thanks, Kaylin. Okay, so I'm going to carry on here I was talking. So the title to this live stream was whether or not hunting is good for black bear conservation and stuff. And so what are some of your thoughts surrounding this topic, the hunting being used for managing populations of black bear? And what are your thoughts? Do you feel personally that hunting is good for black bear conservation. Way earlier on in the beginning of this live stream, I was saying, did you know that in Maine, we can go and capture black bear, kill black bear by the way of trapping, conventional, normal hunting methods, bait hunting and hunting them with dogs. But yet, in the last several years, the black bear population is up 20%. Utilizing all these methods to kill black bears in the state of Maine has not hindered or hurt the healthy, thriving bear population at all. They're actually up 20% in the last couple of years from like 3-4 years ago and beyond, and way earlier when the bear population was a little less. We've increased 20%, using all of those. That's all. I mean, what do you guys all think of that? So let's see, 808, I've never seen a black bear. 808, oh, that's cool. Oh, here's a couple right here. This is called a 3/4 mount from like the belly button area up. They call that a 3/4 mount. This is just a shoulder mount here from the shoulders and up. And I've got some European, just bleached skull type mounts. That's a coyote. Oh, 808, have you ever seen a coyote coyote fur? This is a northeastern coyote, a Maine coyote pelt that I shot several years ago. Let's see. I've got a snowshoe hare mount right here over my shoulder. I got a snowshoe hare leaping over a driftwood on some fake snow right here. I've got a life-size mount, 30-pound male bobcat life-size mount bobcat in front of me on the wall over there. I've got a porcupine mount to my left, a full life-size mount of a gray squirrel up here. I've got a shoulder mount of a fox on a base, on a rock base. I got a shoulder mount of a bobcat hissing and growling on a rock base. I've got a howling coyote over here mount. And I got a bunch of capes in the freezer that I've got to mount, do my own mount. So I don't have to pay for taxidermy bills anymore. I do my own taxidermy. Let's see, Bailey, nice. Yeah, cool. So, all right, the black bear population in Maine, let's see, I mean, Clay Newcomb, I don't know if any of you have ever heard of Clay Newcomb. He's the editor of the Bear Hunting Magazine, and he's the host of the Bear Hunting Magazine podcast, the host of the Bear Grease podcast. Clay Newcomb, he has a lot of guests on, like biology, black bear biology guests and such, so forth. Sarah Lida was one guest he had on. And she was talking about black bear densities and black bear populations and stuff, and how in her 20 plus years of research in black bears and studying black bears, that's a long time. Sarah Lida, a black bear biologist, followed these buggers around for 20 plus years and on of her life, and all of her colleagues before her and after her and such. And in those 20 years of time, there's actually a study area where they were live trapping, where they were using the Lincoln Peterson model, which is a live trapping method for like estimating populations and such. The Lincoln Peterson model is trap lines and grid patterns, and the biologists would go and check each and every one of those traps each and every day for maybe 30 or 60 days straight. It's all done in a pattern in a certain number of days, and if they're catching the same bear day after day after day, and then maybe eventually catching another new bear. If they say they're only catching like 5 black bear in that time span using the Lincoln Peterson model, and these trap lines, they're running maybe a 10,000 square mile radius area in the mountains, and these trap lines, the biologists caught only 5 bear in 30 days time. Then they can conclude that in that 10,000 square mile area that there's only probably 5 black bear living in that block of habitat. And that's not a very large population of black bear, but then you got to think of it as a whole here. What about the next 10,000 square block that they didn't put trap lines in? What if they catch 5 or maybe even 10 in that 10,000 square block? But these are in their bordering blocks. You could have maybe 5 black bear here, living here, and 10 black bear thriving and living over here, so forth and so on. So this Leake-Peterson model is a great way that biologists, great way for biologists to kind of get a general handle on an estimate, good estimate of the populations of black bear and stuff. And Sarah Lyda's 20 years of research, it was something like a 600 to 700 square mile area. So say 700 square miles of mountainous forest where she was running these trap lines and where they were doing their studies and research. And I think she said, what'd she say? They caught like 80 something bears, something like that. If I remember, see, I've got notes here. Blah, 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 blah. Is it on this one? But yeah, so, yeah, I think she said like 82 black bears they caught in a 600 to 700 square mile area. And that came to being like barely 1 bear per square mile, or something like that. Clay Newcomb asked Sarah Lyda in the podcast, in one of the podcasts I was listening to. And this is a great question that everyone has. Like, what about how many black bears are there per square mile, or how large is the black bear population really in all? And her answer was barely like 1 bear per square mile, and in some cases 0.45, 0.6, and less than a bear per square mile. But still, that's not a bad thing, and that's because black bears' home ranges are immense, man. They're huge. A sow's home range is anywhere from 20 to 40 square miles. A sow. Well, I'm pointing at that as if like, these aren't. Well, this actually was a sow. This was a sow bear. This was a nuisance bear in like Jonesport, Maine. I kind of giving my location away. Yeah. So, and this bear back here over my head was a nuisance bear. Was on people's bird feeders and people's yards. Was sighted in neighborhoods, and I actually happened. It ends up being, and it was my first ever black bear I ever shot. The one over my head, and all the locals were thanking me for actually taking that black bear, because it was always getting their dumpsters, trash cans, they're tearing apart their bird feeders, locals were getting nervous having that bear around. But this one was a boar, actually, a male bear here that I shot in New Brunswick, Canada. But I'm going on a tangent here. Let's see, I got a bunch of people chiming in. Aaron says, much love to all across the pond from South Wales Valley. Thank you, Aaron. Same at you, buddy. Bailey. This was fun, but my friend is live, so I'm going to check it out. Oh, yeah, no problem, Bailey. Go. See you next time. Oak Ridge Taxidermist, just subscribe. Oh, yeah, thanks, Oak Ridge Taxidermist. Oak Ridge Taxidermist, I've been learning taxidermy for the last 3 years, and I've now done shoulder mounts. This was my first ever mount I ever did right back here, and it was on a black bear. Then I went on to do a couple of deer, shoulder mounts, and bucks, and I've mounted a 49-inch like trophy bull moose for some friends. So I've got a shoulder mount of a moose under my belt for taxidermy, and I'm working on a life-size mount of a bobcat. Oak Ridge Taxidermist. Yeah, thanks for sub. Yeah, I love taxidermy. That's awesome. But I'm talking about bear populations in general. The whole 1 bear per square mile. That's actually pretty good. I was just mentioning how sows, female black bears, home ranges are anywhere from, this is according to a black bear biologist, Sarah Lyda, who's been studying and managing and like observing black bears for 20 plus years as a bear biologist. She says that a sow's home range is anywhere from 20 to 40 square miles, and a male black bear's home range can be anywhere from as little as 150 square miles to as large as 250 to 300 square miles. And she was saying, Sarah Lyda was saying that the boars, your male black bears, are just wanderers. They're kind of really a lot like us humans. Us boys, us men, we're always off, who knows, gallivanting, wandering. Where and the females, they love to be like homebodies, sort of. Well, this is a stereotype here I'm going with here. This isn't the case for all females, and this isn't the case for all males in our species. But yeah, and for the most part, in general, the boys, the boar black bears, they wander and just all over free. But that's a good thing. The black bear population, they solely rely on to thrive, to keep the population stable below threshold or at threshold in the carrying capacity, and to keep the population growing and not declining. They rely heavily on the sows. The sows being able to mate with a boar and to give birth to cubs every 2 years. Sows only are able to mate and be able to give birth every 2 to 3 years. Let's say they may mate the second year, their cubs will grow to 2 years old, and those cubs will disperse and go on to establish their own homes in their environment. They'll go find their own home range, and that sow will come in heat and be able to be ready to breed again with a boar 2 years later, after nursing and taking care of and teaching her cubs how to be bears. That sow will come in heat again 2 years later, and then she'll give birth in the dead of winter, almost into her third year, halfway through the third year, dead of winter in the den. They have, this is a really cool fact that I want to talk about more in more detail and heavily in another live stream and in another episode of my YouTube channel. I upload regular, normal YouTube video episodes every Thursday night. Eventually I'll talk about this, and that's delayed implantation. The sows have delayed implantation. What that means is when the boar and the sow copulate, they come together and mate in the springtime. It's in like late May, June, July, or early August. There's like 3 to 4 month window there of opportunity for the boars and sows to come together and copulate and to mate. And so what delayed implantation is the eggs, they're stuck to the uterus walls of the sow. The eggs don't drop and become into the center of the uterus and start fertilize and start replicate, the cells and stuff starting to replicate, and the little baby bear, the cubs, they don't start to grow in the uterus of that sow until several months later. Delayed implantation is the sperm, it goes to the egg. The egg just, they kind of hang and lingo there in the uterus, on the uterine walls of the sow, and those fertilized eggs just sitting there chilling. So let's say they're pregnant in June, so July, August, September. So if the sow if she comes together with the boar, copulates with a boar in June, April, May, middle of June. So there's July, August, September, October, November, December. There's like 7 to 8 months of delayed implantation. 7 to 8 months of before the cubs are born in the dead of winter. So that's actually kind of the same carrying term for that we have. Obviously, our human females are pregnant for like 8 to 9 months. So but anyway, I'm going to do more thorough research and stuff. I know a little bit about that. I used to talk about it a lot years ago about delayed implantation. That's a great way to open up a conversation. Hey, how you doing? Hey, do you know that black bear sows have a delayed implantation? Have you ever heard of that before? It's a great conversation opener. Mike Henderson. There is no bear hunting out in Alabama. I'm sorry to hear that, Mike. Hey, Mike, have you ever hunted black bear before? Oh, Joe Duta. Joe, do you mean no bear at your bait, Joe? You don't have. I found it took a week. Today was a week, and I finally had a black bear at one of my 2 baits I'm running at 10 something at night last night. So, and it was a decent, respectful black bear. Is that what you're referring to, Joe? That no bear at your baits yet? My guys, There's no bear hunting out there. No, okay. Oh, and you've never hunted black bear yet, Mike? Would you like to go on a black bear hunt, Mike? I'm back. Bayo. Hey, Bayo Lee, how was your friend's live stream? Bayo Lee went, go check out a friend's live stream. Oak Ridge Taxidermist says, can you get a moose cape? I will buy it. Oak Ridge Taxidermist wants a moose cape. Where are you based out of, Oak Ridge Taxidermist? I'd love to. Well, I'm hoping to get my taxidermy licensed, Oak Ridge Taxidermist, this winter. I've got to finish this life-size mount of a bobcat that I'm working on. Then I can put in my paperwork and put in my payment and paperwork stuff to the state to apply for and go and test for and apply for and test for my taxidermy license. And then maybe I'd be able to sell you a moose cape. But Mike Henderson, yes, so Mike would like to hunt black bear. Yeah, that's awesome. I hope I think Mike said it in Alabama. There was no, yeah, Mike's from Alabama, and he says there's no bear hunting there. I think, see, Alabama, closest black bear hunt. Well, actually, I think there's black bear not far from you, Mike. There really isn't. The black bear's range it's unreal. The black bears, they range all over the country and up in Kansas. They're everywhere. I hope that you do get to go on a black bear hunt someday, Mike. Bailey says not that good. Oh, Bailey says the live stream wasn't their friend's live stream wasn't that good. Hey, Bailey, have you ever heard of delayed implantation? Huh? It's in black bear. Black bear sows. Bailey just chimed back in here. He or she, or I don't know if Bailey's a girl or a guy, but anyways, yes. Oh wait, Bailey, I think might have said yes to hearing about delayed implantation. Because it's not only in bears. There's other animals that have the same, that utilize delayed implantation. It's just it ensures that the cubs are born at the opportune time. They're born in the dead of winter at barely 5 ounces. The sow cubs, they're hairless. They can fit in the palm of your hand. They're barely 5 ounces. And the cubs, when born in the dead of winter in the den with mama bear, they crawl up her fur, belly fur, and belly skin to get to her teats to start nursing, to get that mama's milk. And then when the warm weather comes, the snows and ice melt and stuff, and the mama bear starts wandering out of the den, stretching her legs. So her and the cubs will come out of the den, come out on the other end in the spring in the warm months with hair on them and able to walk and move around. And then it's game. Then it's education time. Then it's time to go to school for those cubs. It's actually a really good thing. I was leading into. I mentioned that there's about 1 bear per square mile, give or take, in most bear populated areas. In some cases, less than a bear per square mile. But a sow's home range is 20 to 40 square miles. So that's a lot. That's more than 1 square mile. So if there's 1 bear, so holy crap! So you're talking probably 20 to 40 sows. There could be potentially 20 plus sows living in 700 to 800 square mile area, occupying 20 of those. Their home range being like 20 square miles of that 600 square mile block of woods. But then you got your males, your boars, home ranges anywhere from 150 and upwards of 250, 300 square miles. And their home ranges overlap and they wander. And that's because come mating season, the boars are the wanderers looking for available sows and heat to mate with. And also home ranges are so large for black bears. The reason they are so big is they rely on nuts and berries. Nuts, twigs, and berries, pretty much, they rely on. So they could exhaust a food source pretty quickly. I've learned this from Clay Newcomb and other biologists. They could eat like 20 pounds of food a day. A full-grown, mature, adult black bear can consume like 20 pounds of food a day. That translates to like anywhere from 200,500 to 3,000 calories. Anywhere from like 10,000 to 20,000 calories a day. 20 pounds of food a day, 20,000 calories. And they could very quickly exhaust a food source in one area of their home range, and that food source could dry up, go up because they ate it all up, and then they've got to shift. There's constantly shifts going on with these critters. It's no different than with deer and moose and turkey. They're shifting around their home ranges based on available food sources. They focus on, like, say, like a black bear, no different than a deer. They'll have feed trees. A feed tree is just a certain oak tree, a tree producing really sweet, yummy acorns that they favor out of any other oaks surrounding that area, maybe, and they hone in on that particular tree and eat all the acorns from that tree. The deer do the same thing. The bear do this, and then when all eaten up, gobbled up, there's no more. They've got to shift. They got to go find another feed tree, a tree that's got the sweetest, best acorns that are more nutritious for them at that time of year. So, I mean, when a hunter stumbles upon fresh bear scat, or if you're a deer, more or less a deer hunter, not necessarily bear hunting, and you're stumbling upon that fresh, still fresh, wet, steaming deer scat and fresh tracks, and there's buck rubs and stuff close by, and there's still acorns visibly available under that feed tree, it's boom, a light bulbs go off on that hunter. That hunter needs to hunt that tree right then and there. That could dry up. That food source could dry up in a week or less than a week. Maybe they've already been feeding on that for several days in that area, and that spot could dry up in a week, and they're no longer utilizing that spot, and they've shifted to another tree that's got better acorns and so forth, so on. The bears do the same thing. And they're going to utilize all different parts of their home range following those hot food sources. So they could be in one area for a week or two of their home range, and the next week or two they could be over here several miles this way on a different food source and a different bedding area where there's good food and water cover and such. So Bailey says yes. I wonder what that was to. Yeah, thank you, Bailey. So going to check bait sites tomorrow. Hey, Jason, thanks for coming on, bud. I've been going live for 30. So all of you that have been with me so far, like Mike Henderson, Bailey, Jason Gibson, he's a really cool fella. He's based out of Maine here, like I am the state of Maine, me and Jason. Jason says he's going to check his bait sites tomorrow. Jason, I finally got a nice bear on one of my baits. I'm running 2 bait sites tomorrow. I'm going to go check the second bait site. I don't have a trail camera on one of the bait sites. Not yet, anyway. I have a cellular camera on the one, and that sent to my phone a picture of a bear being at my bait at like 10 something last night. I finally got a nice bear coming. I can't wait to get out tomorrow morning to check baits myself. So I hope you have some bear coming, Jason. Hopefully. So I was talking about, the bears shifting around their home range based on available food sources at that time of year, for that time of year and so forth. So on the feed trees, so see what else should I talk about? That's the thing with these live streams. It's easy to go on a tangent and just stray. There's no editing. It's in the raw, folks. So Bailey, so Jason Gibson, if you're still on here and listening, chiming in. Bailey, I don't know I think all of you can see who's in the chat. And Bailey should be I'm giving a shout out to Bailey. He went on to check out another friend's live stream, and he said, was it so good? So Jason, Jason should share a couple baiting tips. What have you learned, Jason Gibson, about baiting black bears? And what's like the number one tactic or trick or tip that you like to use at your bait sites? If you're still on here, Jason, go ahead and type that out for all to see. Yeah, and Jason and everyone, if you're still listening, Jason Gibson, He's left some comments on some of my YouTube videos, my regular episodes that I upload every Thursday night on my Spikes and Gills YouTube channel. He's commented and said, what are some recipes, bear recipes you enjoy that you like? He's asked questions about eating black bear meat. Black bear meat is a very wonderful, lean, healthy, one of the healthiest meats and proteins that a human can ever consume. Yes, there is the trichinosis thing that you've got to be concerned about, but the CDC, the Center for Disease Control, CDC, the Center for Disease Control, states that like all meats, and especially bear meat, if they're heated to thoroughly all the way around and internally to 165 degrees plus and higher, for so many minutes, and there you don't have to worry a thing about trichinosis. The general rule of thumb with bear meat is just cook it thoroughly all the way through. Cook your bear meat. And like deer meat though, that you can have like medium rare. I mean, we can have some pink in your deer meat. There's no pink. And I mean, your deer, but no pink showing in your bear meat. That's the general rule of thumb. Then you don't have to worry about trichinosis whatsoever. But man, bear meat makes mean stews and great burgers and their steak. If as long as you get rid of that white gristly fat around all your steak, that bear fat doesn't taste good with cooking with steak. Bear fat is best rendered. You want to take all your bear fat trimmings. You don't want to throw away the bear fat. You want to utilize all the bits and parts of the bear that you possibly can. Clay Newcomb, I'm learning a lot from him about how to render bear fat, how to get bear grease, and to save the bear grease. You can use it for cooking. Use it to waterproof your boots. The bear grease is like better than using butter in your pan for cooking steak and stuff. So the bear grease can be used for a lot of things. So I'm learning more about that, and I want to talk about that in other live streams and in future episodes. So Jason finally typed something. Jason says, other natural food sources, beech tree that produce large patches of raspberries, blackberries, and blueberries. Exactly, yeah. All that is great for black bears. And an individual can... In years pretty much every year that an individual goes after the black bear, they really don't have to bother trying to bait in the black bear. They don't have to bother going hunting black bear with dogs or trapping them. An individual can go out and just using conventional, normal hunting tactics, still hunting these like areas that Jason's mentioning, like beech nut ridges, oak ridges. Go into the mountain, go into an area where that harbors a good, healthy bear population, where there's at least one bear per square mile. Go to those, hone in on those areas, and wherever you live, wherever you're going to hunt bear. And as Clay Newcomb always states and says, bear, if you've got to find the freshest bear scat of all. It's almost got to be like that bear pooped right then and there, like a couple hours before you showing up to that spot. And if you find that, and you need to be on the lookout in your surroundings to see why that bear pooped there in the woods, you're going to probably find acorns that he's feeding on. You might find those blackberries, raspberries, or beech nuts that Jason mentioned that he's feeding on. You need to hunt then and there, right then and there. You need to set up shop right there. And you could very well kill that black bear using conventional, regular hunting methods. Just ambush it as you would a trophy buck that you're hoping to shoot. Go into ninja mode and stealth mode. Those black bear, they need to consume 20 pounds of food a day, 20,000 upwards of 30,000 calories a day before going into denning season, into the winter months, and they're going to eat at all times of the day in that 24-hour time span. So there's a very good probability that bear is going to show up in daylight hours if you found bear scat that's only a few hours old, and that there's ample sign of that bear feeding there in that area in the last several days. You could find a good vantage point way off 100 yards if you're rifle hunting with a gun, or with a bow. You can get yourself back 30 yards from that where you found the freshest scat, where that bear's scaling and climbing those oak trees to get to the acorns up in the canopy and stuff. And you could very well kill that black bear that evening by hunting them that way without needing to bait or use dogs to trap them. But let's see. Bailey says, I'm into one on a camping trip a while back. Oh, I ran into one. So Bailey says that he ran into a bear on a camping trip a while back. Yeah, that's a common thing for folks. For a lot of folks, the only bear they've ever seen in their lives is just through traveling. I happened to stumble upon a black bear on beehives. I live in an area where there's blueberry fields. I'm a blueberry farmer. I'm learning taxidermy, and I'm a wastewater operator for a blueberry outfit. And I drive and operate big, huge John Deere sprayers that you could park a car under for crying out loud, with 100-foot booms. And I spray thousands and thousands and thousands upon thousands of acres of blueberry fields, and I have black bear run out across the blueberry fields when I'm spraying. I've stumbled upon black bear that were being a nuisance to beehives that the beekeepers brought in to cross pollinate our blueberries on the blueberry fields. So that's a common way for folks to see bear. So I'm gonna see Leslie Nevar. Coconut oil, spray it down in an area, give it a couple hours, and they're coming in. And Leslie says use coconut oil, and that's something I have never ever used myself. But that's cool. That's a neat tip. Thank you for that, Leslie. Leslie says, so if any of you chime in here, if you're baiting black bear, this person says, Leslie, use coconut oil, spray it down in an area and give it a cup. And that's probably too, that could be a good tactic for a place where you maybe can't feed the bear, can't bait bear in the way of using foods. Some states don't allow baiting or hunting with dogs or trapping, but they let you use like just scents, like an attractant scent on a wick or something, or spraying the trees or tree trunks down with some scent. And Leslie says try some coconut oil, spraying it around. Let's see, it's a good idea. Baiting tips, scents are important. I use apple butterscotch. Yeah, I use butterscotch like every year. That's what I've got on my bait sites now. Mix with oats as a base and add other. Oh yeah, those are all good tips, Jason. Thanks for that. So all those of you that are coming in here and you're maybe wanting to hunt black bear using baits and stuff, or even just to attract one by way of using scents, Jason Gibson is telling us some cool stuff, some good stuff that we can use. Chris Mitchell, how long you been working on taxidermy? Trying to get licensed? Yes, Chris Mitchell. I've been. Oh, honey, how long have I been practicing taxidermy? 3 or 4 years. How long have I been practicing taxidermy? 3 or 4 years, hon. Yeah. How many years? I don't know. Oh, at least 3. Because Chris Mitchell was asking how long I've been, and if I'm going to get licensed. But yeah, I hope to get licensed this winter, Chris. But this was my very first ever shoulder mount I ever did in my life, was on this New Brunswick Canada bear I shot with my bow right here. And I've got, let's see if I turn the camera, oh, there's my first deer mount right here. The first one is my first deer shoulder. See, I got a bobcat, fox, porcupine, a squirrel mount, and I got all kinds of stuff. So yeah, so I got my first deer mount I ever did over here, my first bear mount I did here. And I've mounted a big trophy bull moose, and I'm working on a life-size mount of a bobcat. Once I get this bobcat done, Chris, so I need to have, in the state of Maine anyway, you need to have been practicing taxidermy anyway, and maybe even go to schooling for it and stuff. I'm self-taught for the most part, but I've been learning for 3 years and studying it for 3 years. And I've already mounted deer, bear, and moose, and I'm working on a life-size mount of a bobcat. The state of Maine requires that we take an antlered mammal with us to go test, and a small mammal. We need to bring these mounts with us. They inspect them, look them over, look for drumming and any mistakes, and they ask us verbal questions. There's a verbal part to the test and a written part, like a multiple choice written part of the taxidermy test. and it's an actual it's a state and federally licensed taxidermist that does the testing with us. Someone that knows what they're doing, and so they try to trip us up, but I heard that the test isn't so bad. Another taxidermist I know that it's a fairly new taxidermist, a friend of mine. He said I would pass with flying colors. He rushed into his. He got his before he ever even mounted a moose or a bear. He's been hitting me up for questions on how to mount black bear and go about tanning the black bear capes and stuff, and prepping them for mounting, things such like that. But he got his taxidermy license. He passed, and he's been going like full time with it. So yeah, I hope to get my taxidermy license this winter. So Leslie says, I'm a bear outfitter in northern Saskatchewan for the past 25. Nice. So Leslie's a bear outfitter in northern Saskatchewan. Awesome. Kingpin bear scents and attract and sells wicked stuff. Kingpin bear, yeah. Thanks for that, Leslie. Appreciate that. So everybody, Leslie says, check out Kingpin bear scents and attracting. So Jason Gibson, I don't know if you're reading. So Jason Gibson, Leslie, Jason's a friend of mine. We never really met in person. I don't know. Jason Gibson could be a guy I met on a ice fishing tournament or at one point in time. But anyway, Jason's and I were always conversing back and forth through this YouTube thing. But Jason, you got to check out, I guess Leslie says check out Kingpin Bear Scents. I'll have to look at it. Bayoli says, anything you have left over from your last lunch dinner as bait? Oh, I think Bayoli wants to know if you could throw leftovers on your bait. And bear, they're opportunistic. They're omnivore animals. They're not just strictly herbivore, not strictly carnivore. They're omnivores, black bears. In that they don't just kill and eat and consume meat, but they also rely heavily a lot on your vegetation, on your herbaceous vegetation, your broad-leaved, your forbs. Your forbs are your broad-leaved herbaceous vegetation, that stuff, and also obviously your nuts, twigs, and berries. The bears rely on. They're, for the most part, in Maine, black bear are like 85 and upwards, and even in some cases, and upwards of 90% vegetarians. They're mostly going after your nuts, twigs, and berries. But and and black bears. I didn't know if you guys knew this. This is a cool fact about black bears. They will tear up yellow jacket nests. I got stung 3 times at one of my bait sites. I guess I stepped on a stump where there was a yellow jacket nest underneath. I was trying to put a scent wick up in a tree. So at one of my bait sites, I got stung here, stung above my eye, and stung on my finger. And I was like, I kept thinking, man, I hope a bear comes, finds this bait quick, because I want them to tear up this and eat these yellow jackets, kill this yellow jacket nest for me. But that's cool that they love honey, right? They love to go after bee nests for obvious reasons. And they eat, I don't know if in your neck of the woods, everybody, if you have this weedy, like this vegetation stuff called skunk weed, skunk cabbage, skunk weed, or whatever, they actually like that, and that's nasty stuff. They love the black cherries, all your acorns, all your berries. They like to eat dandelion greens, fiddleheads, anything green. Pretty much, like let's say you're going on a spring bear hunt. In the spring, you look for that green or anything green, that green stuff that stands out. Anything that's starting to grow in the spring. The first bits of grasses, a little bit of grass, the bear are gonna hone in on in the spring. Spring bear hunt can be super easy. A spot and stalk hunt on black bear in the spring can be, and obviously using a rifle, long range weapon, can be fairly easy in the spring by just looking for those south-facing, those slopes that are already melted off, where there's a lot of green coming up, all your new luscious growth. The bear are it's gonna be a magnet to those black bear. Those first bit of black bear that are coming up, getting out of their den, starting to wander around in the spring. So let's see what Leslie's saying. And the very best thing we all use up here is use cooking oil. Yeah, yeah, Leslie, I have so many jugs of cooking oil. I get every year I get a bed. I fill the bed of my truck with used fryer later grease and used up cooking oil from restaurants surrounding local restaurants. I've had a friend at work give me 10 more case things of grease. Grease, I love grease. I put this really super concentrated scent, this like butterscotchy scent stuff. It's like $35–40 a bottle, but it will last several years. You only need a cap full of the stuff, and I'll put it in several gallons of grease, shake it up, mix it up in the old fryer-related grease, and splash that all over the tree trunks and all around my bait site. And that in itself, just that alone, is good bait. If you let's say you ran out of actual food like trail mix and donuts, cookies and stuff, and whatever you're feeding the bear, you could legitimately just bait them in and sustain and keep them drawing in bear, keep them coming on just the old fryer-related grease, the grease alone. And that grease soaks into tree stumps and roots and tree trunks. It soaks in and stays there through the rains and winds and the sun beating down it. It doesn't deteriorate and evaporate very quickly, and it draws in all your squirrels, raccoons, bear. The bear could end up becoming a licking post, a scratching post for them that they're gnawing at, biting at, licking at, scratching. So grease is great stuff. So good, thanks for that, Leslie. Jason says bears will also hit spring clover plots and winter rye and fall. If you have, most certainly, Jason, yeah. It's all good stuff. Bayoli says, I find northern Florida a good place for hunting. Northern Florida, yeah. Are you in Florida, Bayoli? Oh, you must be from Florida, I take it, Bayoli. How cool is that? I haven't seen the guys on here from Eustis Stratton area. A couple Mondays ago, I go live about like every Monday. I've almost been an hour. It's almost past my bedtime. I've got to get up at 4 in the morning and go check bait sites before I go to work. Jason's got to go check bait sites in the morning. You've got to I'll end the live stream here talking about, like, and this is backed by Clay Newcomb, the host of Bear Hunting Magazine podcast. He's the editor of Bear Hunting Magazine, and he has a podcast. So he has all kinds of guest biologists and bear hunters alike on his podcast. I want to end with a really cool baiting tip before I go past my bedtime. So Leslie says, not sure about you guys down there, but we always try to put a couple beaver on each. Yeah. Oh, I haven't had anyone mention the beaver carcasses yet, but I've asked all my trapping buddies around here, everyone that I know that traps around me here in Maine, I've asked, hit them up, called them, emailed them, ran into them in the stores. I've asked, hey, you have any beaver carcasses I can take off your hand? And then I have yet to get my hands on beaver carcasses. I would love to use beaver carcasses for baiting black bear, but yeah, they're supposed to work great. And Leslie says that too. Leslie backs that up. There's Leslie, everyone that's listening on here, Leslie Neorvar there. He's been a bear guide outfitter for 25 years out of like the Saskatchewan area. Yeah, so that's awesome. Yeah, Leslie, beaver are a treat for everything out there. They were, yeah, up. Oh yeah, he's saying up, meaning scroll up to find out where he's from. I think I got that right, Leslie, that you're from Saskatchewan area. You said that earlier. So Jason, Leslie, Bayoli, or see all you others. I'd like the guys to be on here from Eustis Stratton area. It was 2 Mondays in a row they were on here. Listen, chiming. There's some good bear country in Maine out that way, so I'd like to talk with some of them guys. This spring I went through 500 beaver in north and oh wow, Jason, are you reading this? Leslie Nearvard says that in this spring he went through 500 beavers in a month and a half. Hey, send me some of them beavers my way, buddy. Me and Jason want to use some beaver for bait. One of these days I'm going to try beaver carcasses for baiting. But okay, I've been live long enough. But anyway, all of you that are still with me on